This Champions book. We have a great list of athletes that have shared their stories of hurt, despair, and triumph. And so you guys will get to meet most of them tonight, and it's going to be a great evening. And to kind of MC the evening, we have Pat Hughes, who has been the play-by-play voice for the Cubs for the last 23 years. And so he'll be leading the evening tonight. And so without further ado, Pat Hughes.
John, thank you very much. Before John walks away, John is celebrating a birthday today. 23 years with the Cubs. I've been so very fortunate. When I got the job, they said, "You are the voice of the Cubs." And now 23 years later, they say, "You're the voice of the Cubs." Sounds like I've not had a promotion in a long time. But it's not a real bad dead-end gig, I have to admit. I've enjoyed it immensely, and I would like to say something that I like to say at least once or twice every day, and that is, the Chicago Cubs win the World Series! And it felt very natural to say that because of the title of the book that we are all here to promote and launch tonight. John is the publisher, George Castle and John Shank are the co-authors. The book is called Champions, and here's what it looks like. And I want you to look for that online and in stores. And I've had the pleasure in the last week or so of reading it almost cover to cover. I've been impressed with every single chapter. There's a message. It's not just a story about sports. Champions, you might think it's about winning touchdowns or winning three-point shots or game-winning home runs. There's some of that in there. Certainly it's athletically oriented. But it's about people who have struggled and overcome obstacles, major obstacles, physical, emotional, sometimes abuse, injuries, personal problems, addictions, you name it, they are covered in this book. And there's something moving in every chapter. We have 9 of the subjects here tonight, and I would like to introduce to you some of the people who are highlighted. They have very special chapters in this book. Champions. 15 inspiring comeback stories from sports and life. Now I'm going to introduce each of them just to let you know who they are, and then I'm going to talk to each of them for a minute or two, and then if we have time, we will open it up for a little Q&A from the audience, okay? But first of all, I would like to introduce a man who is an absolute Chicago icon, one of the great athletes in the history of our great city. He is a Hall of Famer. He's the greatest pitcher in Cubs history, Fergie Jenkins. Chicago native, a great guy, big Cubs fan. He's been in our booth many, many times. Excellent head football coach in the NFL for 17 seasons, 5 with Kansas City, 12 with the Buffalo Bills. Took the Bills to 4 Super Bowls. Marv Levy. A young lady who had a very, very difficult childhood. She overcame that to become a star in the WNBA. Welcome to Imani McGee Stafford. When I was a kid, I was a huge fan of the NBA and the NFL and Major League Baseball. I was one of those kids every day following every sport. But I remember this guy. He had one of the great nicknames ever. Star for the Chicago Bulls. Led them in scoring 7 straight years. Bob Butterbean Lowe. This next young lady, this might be my very favorite chapter. I loved all the chapters in the book, but her name reminds you of the word victory. Her name is Victoria Arlen. Victoria? Victoria overcame an incredibly difficult adolescence. For 4 years, she was in a coma. Doctors and nurses did not think she was going to even make it. Not only did she make it through that, she competed in the Paralympic Games, won a gold medal. Now she is no longer confined to a wheelchair. She is considering running a marathon. She is on ESPN television. She was, I think, the youngest on-air personality ever, and she's just a gorgeous young lady, extremely talented, Victoria Arlen. Very special talent. The next guy was a U.S. Olympic gold medal winner in the sport of volleyball, suffered a horrendous knee injury, overcame that though, and again, the book Champions is about overcoming adversity and thriving thereafter. But his name, Olympic champion, and I understand he has his gold medal with him, and he'd be happy to pose with any of you for photos a little bit later on. But a big welcome to Scott Tuzinski. A couple of ex-big league catchers are here. They were both teammates on the 1986 World Champion New York Mets. Just to be a catcher in baseball, you're having to overcome something already. That's a very, very difficult position to play and to last for a long time. But a big welcome to Ed Hearn. And another former big league catcher, Barry Lyons. And between them, they put in many, many years in the big leagues. Also from St. Louis. And by the way, I find it very interesting that the two authors, George Castle, I'll introduce George in a minute, and John Shank. John is from St. Louis. Now I have to come clean. He is a Cardinal fan. No. But he said he did enjoy watching Game 7 of the World Series. I bought it. I believe that. I'll take him at his word because he's the guy that hired me for this event. But also from St. Louis, interesting man, brilliant surgeon, former pro tennis player, a part of the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame and the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame, but concentrates not only on the physical therapy after a surgery, but the mental aspect as well, and we're going to talk to him a little bit later, and that is Dr. Rick Lehman. Now, the author, one of the co-authors, and he has been a prolific author here in the city of Chicago. He is a huge Cub fan. He is a walking encyclopedia of Cubs knowledge. I loved his chapter on Fergie Jenkins. Now, being a Cubs announcer for all these years, I knew Fergie won 20 or more games 6 consecutive years. An amazing accomplishment. I knew that no other Cub had done that since, but reading George's words in the story about Fergie, no other big league pitcher anywhere has won 20 or more games 6 consecutive years. And you know what? Yeah. Go ahead, you can applaud that. And these days with 5-man rotations as opposed to 4, I think there's a strong likelihood that in the foreseeable future, nobody is going to do what Fergie Jenkins did. But those are the kinds of things that George Castle brings up when he writes. I've read many of his books before. I think this book, Champions, is the best one he has done. George Castle. And John Shank, I mentioned it's his birthday. You're going to be surprised. He has done a lot of things. Several people here tonight at very young ages have accomplished many, many things. But he's an entrepreneur. He's into publishing and handles performing artists. But John Shank is the publisher and the co-author. So another hand for John. There are some other people that are involved with the book. I want to acknowledge them right now. And first of all, the line-by-line editor for the book is Molly Barnes. Molly, stand up and take a bow. There she is. The final proofreader for the book, Marla McKenna. Marla's here, I met her. Now, there are also some special people here that I would like to acknowledge. They did not necessarily have a material role in the book, but they are very close, perhaps, with people who are in the book. First of all, a gentleman, I just met him earlier, Herman Citrick. Herman is 92 years young. He is right here. A nice hand for Herman. I want to tell you what he did. It says during World War II, he captured 21 Germans single-handedly during the Battle of the Bulge. How about that? If there's any trouble tonight, I'm hanging out with you. Okay? Also, a young lady who has overcome a severe paralyzation, and that would be Kelsey Eibach, partially paralyzed in 2014 in an auto accident. But she has, true to form in the Book of Champions, she has overcome that, and she has helped other people with similar disabilities in many, many ways. Her parents, Bob and Vera Eibach, are here, and her godmother, Kathy Weedley, also here tonight. But a nice hand. I met her earlier. Charming. Kelsey Eibach. Kelsey. Also, the Podjalewskis are here. Jan and Wayne Podjalewski. Wayne lost a leg to infection in 2009. My former partner, Ron Stato, lost both legs because of his difficulties with diabetes. Now Ron and Wayne got to know each other. It says here because of type 1 diabetes. Wayne, on Father's Day of 2009, met with Ron, and Ronnie encouraged Wayne and said he'd be fine on one leg. So during Ron's statue dedication posthumously in 2011, a year after he had passed, Wayne stood on one leg for an hour during Ron's statue dedication. So a nice hand for Ron. Also, former Cubs pitcher Rich Nye is here tonight. And let me see here. A reminder, the book is available for sale tonight. A special sales price of $10 for this evening. Or, I noticed the celebrities and the subjects were signing books. Did you see them earlier in this room back here? All of them have signed some books. For $69, you can get a signed copy of the book, signed by all of the athletes that are here tonight. So don't leave without getting one. You will enjoy this book very much. I just would like to now bring up each guest individually and just talk for a minute or two. And again, I like to get the audience involved because you're so very kind to be here tonight. This is as much your program as it is ours, but we want to get the word out about the book Champions. So let's just go ahead and talk to some of the people. Fergie, come on up here. Ferguson Jenkins, Hall of Fame pitcher, and I don't think there's any question he is the greatest pitcher in Cubs history. Fergie, your chapter in the book, though, deals not only with your great athletic career, but the difficulties, including losing many relatives. How were you able to overcome those?
Well, nobody can really give you as they call it, a pattern of what you could say or do. I signed at the age of 18 out of Canada, and my mother got sick within a couple of years after that, and then eventually died of cancer. It was kind of devastating, but I was raised a Baptist, and the Lord, I think, was probably the Savior. And people got on me because I put a tattoo on my arm, trusting God, but it was on my left arm, on my right arm. But I just think that everyone has trials and tribulations they face, and in my case, I tried to overcome it by the clergy and my family.
You think that record of winning 20 for 6 straight years is going to stand forever? I do.
Well, you gotta have good teammates. I don't do it alone. I had a great roommate, Ernie Banks, and teammates, Sando, Banks, Williams, Kessinger, Beckers. I mean, the game is fun, but you gotta have great teammates, offense and defense. I tell people all the time, I met Glenn Beckert 55 years ago. He was my best man. I mean, what a player he is. And he's sick right now, it's too bad. But guys that you meet from all different walks of life, and you're joined together on one ball club, and you start winning, guys trust each other. And that's basically what it was. Trust when you go out there, play. You play hard, they see you play hard, they're gonna play hard for you.
Fergie, congratulations on a great career and for your challenge.